Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this Denton County Transportation Authority to order. Note for the record it's 3:08. We'll have, first of all, the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags by Mr. Richard Huckabee and the invocation by Mr. Paul Pomeroy. So if you'll rise, we'll take care of those.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings you've given us, the agency, residents of Denton County. We pray that you show us the path forward and that your will be done. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, unless the board has some objection, I'm going to go ahead and call the consent agenda first. And then when we get down to number 2, I want to take 2C and D before 2A and B. So if there's any discussion or concern by the board, good time to say it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and address, I'm sorry, we have welcome and introductions. Do you have any of those?
Nope, it's all family, Charles.
And how about awards, recognitions? Any? Okay, we are down to number 1, consent agenda, and I'll read those off. 1A is approval of minutes of the Board of Directors meeting January 28, 2016. Item 1B, acceptance of financial statements. Item 1C, authorize the President to enter into an agreement with the North Central Texas Council of Governments for limited funding support operations of contract services within the City of Frisco. Item 1D, authorize the President to enter into an agreement with the North Central Texas Council of Governments for the loan of 4 vehicles which will be utilized in the deployment of contract services for the City of Frisco. Item 1E, authorize the President to enter into an agreement with the Texoma Area Paratransit System, TAPS, for the purchase of 6 buses and fare boxes in an amount not to exceed $150,000. And finally, item 1F, capital budget revision, FEMA flood projects. Okay, is there a motion for the consent agenda? Motion here, second.
Second.
Any questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposition by like sign. Abstention like sign. Motion carried unanimously. I'm going to go ahead and move to 2C, discussion approval of amendment to Article 4, Section 2 of the DCTA bylaw covering author term limits, and ask council to lay that out for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the proposed amendment would retroactively change the beginning time for the term limits for the sheriff position. We do not have term limits for any other officer, just for the sheriff. So this amendment is retroactively changing so that we would allow Mr. Klein, I'm sorry, would allow Mr. Emery to serve 1 more year as chair should he be reelected. And so with that, I'll answer any questions.
Question?
Yes, sir. Push your button if you want to make a motion.
I move the proposed amendment to the bylaws be approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition by like sign. Abstention. Motion carried unanimously, which we'll go ahead and take up item 2D. And I'm doing this, I didn't explain it. The council has to leave for another meeting very shortly, and I want to make sure that we got at least that piece. So item 2D, and Chair will entertain a motion for election of officers.
I move that move we retain our current slate of officers with Mr. Emery as chairman, myself as vice chairman, Mr. Huckabee as secretary, and Mr. Kovacs as treasurer.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition by like sign. Abstention same. Seeing none, okay, I'll say thank you for another consideration for me. I think 2016 is going to be forward to it. We have had a great slate of officers over the years, and I think it's a good team to go forward with. So thank you for your consideration.
So motion carried.
Motion did carry. Did you
So we got it.
you got it? Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Dustin for vote. I keep seeing red over there.
So we're going back up to 2A, presentation of audit report for fiscal year end 9/30/2015 by Weaver and Tidwell LLP. Jim.
At this time, with Jerry and Jennifer, could y'all come forward and do your presentation of the audit? And Anna, if you have any preparatory remarks.
And if I can, real quick, while they're getting set up, I wanted to introduce Jerry Gaither is the managing partner on our engagement, and Jennifer Ripka is the senior manager. In front of you, you all have a copy of the FY15 Comprehensive Annual Financial Review, financial report, and the single audit report, both that include the auditor's reports that they'll go into more detail about today.
All right, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to present the results of the audit for the current fiscal year. Like was mentioned, I'm Jerry Gaither, and Jennifer was the manager on the engagement. I'd like to go through a little bit of overview of the firm. The firm's always changing, so each year we'd like to update you. And actually, within the last month, we acquired a practice in the Houston area. So we have now 7 offices, and it was primarily a public sector practice, so it has substantially increased our breadth in the local government arena. And as was mentioned, I was the engagement partner, and Jennifer was the senior manager on the engagement, and Meredith Churchill was the audit senior. The audit results from the engagement, we issued an unmodified report on the financial statements, which is a clean opinion of the financial statements. It did have an emphasis of matter paragraph because the authority did implement new accounting standards during the year, GASB 68 and 71, which had an impact on beginning net position of the authority, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. But that just brings the readers of the financial statements attention that the financial statements are presented on a different accounting basis than they were prior year relating to pension liabilities. We also issued a report on internal control. Our report on internal control had no material weaknesses or findings relating to that. We also issued another report on internal control relating to major federal financial assistance programs and internal control over major financial assistance programs. There was approximately $7.5 million in federal financial assistance. The major programs made up about 82% of that. So we tested a great degree of the federal program expenditures for compliance with the federal program compliance requirements, and we had no findings relating to the federal financial assistance programs, no material weaknesses or findings relating to internal control. So it's a very, very clean audit, which is what y'all come to expect here. With that, I will turn it over to Jennifer to go over some of the details related to the financial highlights during the current year.
Also wanted to point out, Jerry was speaking on the single audit report. There's one page within the single audit report, that's page 6, which is an overview of the financial statements, the major programs themselves, and so on this page, when you're reviewing it, you're looking for no's or none reported all the way down. That's important to note, as well as the authority themselves are a low-risk auditee, which means that they're providing their data collection form information to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse on time, and there's been no material weaknesses or question cost over the past 2 fiscal years. So just want to point that out.
For entities receiving federal financial assistance program, the schedule of findings and question costs, as it's called, is kind of the report card. So very, very good results.
During the Finance Committee meeting, we went through in depth the controls that we found to be in place here at the authority, as well as areas of strength and accomplishment. We really wanted to strive that and bring that to this meeting as well, and go through all of the things that we as the auditors look for in an entity to show that they have, good management. There's no material weaknesses, etc. But we've listed these here. Management is knowledgeable in finance. Detailed monthly financial information is provided to the board to review. The authority is awarded the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award, as well as the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. The authority receives a triennial review from FTA, and they earn the Texas Comptroller's Platinum Leadership Circle Award for Fiscal Transparency. So when you go to the website, you'll notice that there's check registers out there, all the financial reports are out there. There's a lot of information that's available to the public that not all public governments or provide to their users. The authority receives a timely audit. We come out and perform the audit about a month and a half after fiscal year end, so that's very quick. We receive the full cooperation of the authority staff. There are no past adjustments or significant audit adjustments. As Jerry noted, there's no material weaknesses in internal controls, and there's no findings with regards to the single audit. Next, going to briefly go through the financial highlights. This first slide is a comparison of the operating expenses in pie chart form. And just an overview of the operating expenses themselves. In fiscal year 2015, expenses totaled $34.6 million, an increase of $1.9 million, or 6%. And the majority of that is related to salaries and wages, which went up $687,000, primarily due to 10% increase in bus personnel hours combined with merit raises that were given, as well as increase of $785,000 in services, primarily due to rail and equipment third-party maintenance costs. Materials and supplies decreased $448,000, primarily due to a decrease in diesel fuel costs, and then depreciation increased $463,000, and that's due to new support service vehicles that were placed into service during fiscal year 15. This is a comparison for the past 5 years, and it just shows you that while expenses are increasing here, you'll notice in later slides, so are revenues, and since a large majority of the revenues that come into the authority relate to federal grants and state grants, we would expect those to increase in comparison. Comparison of revenues from 15 to 2014 in pie chart form, and then it says 14, but that's supposed to be 15. It totaled $35.5 million, an increase of 1.9. The largest changes are as follows. Sales tax revenue increased $1.9 million, and we've seen that at the various municipalities that we perform audits at. Everyone's having a boom in sales tax right now, Capital grants decreased 1.6 million, primarily as a result of the decreased reimbursable expenses related to the construction of the bus operations and maintenance facility. And then transit system operating assistant grants increased 1.6 million, so you'll see an offset. It looks like grants, when you're looking at my last pie charts, it didn't increase, but that's because those are combined. It relates to the additional funding for the bus access or ADA service that became available in fiscal year 15. So that's the van pool services, and that's the one of the new program that we tested as part of the single audit. That was that program, and so we tested approximately maybe a little bit under that 1.6 million that you see there. Here's a comparison of revenues over the past 5 years. Grant revenue, that huge one, that relates to all of that funding that was received from TxDOT, that advanced funding that y'all received. And then slowly that's come down as y'all spent that money. And then new standards. The authority implemented GASB 68 and 71 during fiscal year 2015. And what that did was take the liability that has been shown, or the unfunded amount that's been shown on the actuarial report, and placed it on the financial statements for the for the users to see. So you'll notice now that there's a net pension liability of $124,000 on the financial statements. That was not there previously. Nor was there the deferred outflows of resources of $166,000. And because this was the first year of implementation, we had to go to the net position and place the cumulative effect of the change in accounting principle, and that increased the net position to $49,000. So if you're looking on the CAFR, the statement of net position, you'll see those changes, as well as there's additional disclosures. It increases the disclosures substantially from the prior year. So pages 25 through 29, you'll see additional information with regards to the pension itself. And then if you want to know how much the authority is funded currently, you can go to these additional required supplementary information pages, and that shows how much the pension is funded, because that's something that people are always interested in. And of course, we appreciate the opportunity to provide the audit to the authority, and we want to turn it over to you all to ask any questions about the audit itself, or any of the changes, like the GASB 68 or 71 changes. Yes. Do you have a question?
We communicated this information in a little more detail to the Finance Committee several weeks ago, and there was a lot of discussion relating to some of the standards and some of the numbers, and we'd be happy to address any additional questions y'all would have at this point.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate what Jerry and Jennifer have done in terms of putting this together. One of the things I think is really important is that we talked about a little bit in the work session, is that as members of the board of directors, having the watching this carefully, this is an important step for our fiduciary, responsibility collectively, not just mine, and certainly y'all's as well. We've seen other agencies in the area, and other agencies in the area that did not watch these things very carefully. And those things that you saw, as that Jerry and Jennifer pointed out, as positives and accomplishments, the flip side happened in others. And so when you watch the monthly reports, these audits, knowing where to go in the book, find out quickly where the answer is an important thing, so that whether you're a finance person, you don't have to be a CPA, I'm certainly not, but knowing that when the audit comes back, that if there's some things that are not as they described, all no's, none reported, then that begs a that should beg questions, and that we should be answering those things. We will be coming to you with them, but if we, for some reason, someone shouldn't, that you should be pressing for those things to make sure that you've got a good, a good handle on that. And we bring them in because, again, not everyone is a finance person, and they're the ones looking at the details of the internal controls and everything. So, again, it's been a very topical lesson this year on the importance of this step, and I appreciate all the hard work they did. Thank you all very much, and all the hard work of our staff, too. It's awesome.
Could I ask you to switch back to the slide that says areas of strengths and accomplishments? Okay, let me just make an observation. We spend a whole lot of time on this board, and staff does, of course, with us, about operations, and we have a great operational infrastructure, but I think this points out that we have a great administrative infrastructure. You have to look at the last 4 items on that list, and these are award winners. And so I'd just like to give the administrative side a hand for what you all have done too, because you have certainly been added balance and necessary administrative infrastructure for us. So I'm going to give you a hand for all of that. And thank you all for your report again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
If I could,
absolutely.
I did want to, first of all, thank you for recognizing the work that staff does on the audit. But again, just as a reminder, the audit, I know we focus on and talk about at the end of the year when we go through it, but it is actually the culmination of work throughout the year. And so it really reflects the practice of how we do business, the policies and procedures we have in place. They test our policies and are we following them? And I just want to take a moment and thank Marissa, our controller, who has left up all the work on the audit, to stand up and to recognize, but also to recognize the rest of the staff. And again, the work that's done, the trustees are working overtime, but really because our staff and the team members that they put into the product and the work throughout the year is really what makes it successful. And Tiffany, our senior auditor, our accountant, Whitney, introduced me to again. Our accountant, Tiffany, is probably working on that. Some work right now that we should get ready for the trip that it is. That's all the day-to-day stuff that we don't think about, that our summer was handling the paperwork and the balance of dues and making sure everything's going. And then our budget manager, who was supposed to retirement, Stephanie, is a little, and again, the rest of the staff, but, and then but again, I do think, working with the auditors, but really with what our staff do, like I said, really what makes this organization run, and I do appreciate y'all recognizing the work that they do and, the great value that they impart to this organization.
Thank you.
Charles, we do, the board needs to consider motions to accept the audit and as well as the 2015 financial statements and supplementary
I
information.
move we accept the audit as presented and the 2015 financial statements and supplementary information as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, so that's item 2A and B. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition by like sign. Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Where did my president go?
Sorry.
I think, do we have anything at all on executive session?
No, sir. I don't have any recommendations for executive session.
Okay, so we'll move to chair report, I guess. I think I've made comments in the work session, probably to the extent I need to. Let me just tell you that, this 2040 thing, I think you've seen the last draft. Christina and Jim, you can weigh in on this, but it's probably the last draft before we go to print in March, but it's never too late if you have something that's really burning you or you want to add to it. I know Connie and I chatted about a couple of things in Denton County, but if you do have a recommendation, I'll try to get it in before the ink goes dry on the 2040 plan, but this is such a critical step for the RTC in this region, because it'll kind of set, well, you can imagine how far 2040 is. This kind of sets the grade for what we do in this region from now in terms of transportation between now and 2040. It can be amended, but it's kind of a tough call to try to amend this thing. So if you have any thoughts, even from your own cities and what have you, I would say add them in. We'll try to get them in. Anyhow, that's 2040. I've already talked about the Cotton Belt a little bit. Tex Rail's taking on a little heat, as you all might have read about, in terms of completing their project. They're somewhat 300,000 short, 400,000 short on their funding, but they've gotten a significant part of it as partners, and certainly we're trying to support them any way we can. I'm going to let you go ahead, Jim, and talk about the article and so forth.
And if I could, I'll cover those items now. There's two things that from a regional level that we're working on right now outside of the 2040 plan. One is trying to schedule a board dinner, a joint board dinner with the boards of the DART and the Fort Worth T. Good opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better and not no big speeches or any agenda items other than just to socialize and again get to know your colleagues in the region, which I think would be an important thing. In the latest version of Mobility News, a couple of good things for DCTA. We were recognized on the cover as addressing some of the roadway needs in terms of the A-Train and our detour. Very positive in that regard. And also I should say, your new chairman was profiled as an RTC member and old chairman. So it's quite nice. Great article. And, some of the, again, I stress a lot to our team, the relevance of our agency is really important, our role in the region, and how key a role we can have. So it's really great that we're being recognized for that. So I think it's very important. One promise I made to the board had to do with budget transfers. And my commitment to you is that I would come back to you when I approve those transfers within the existing budget. No change to the bottom line. But a couple of things that we've done this month. Amanda's always good about helping me keep track of these and make sure that they're prepared properly. We did a couple of things. One is we did a transfer between bus and rail for facilities maintenance. We've done a lot of work to make sure that we get our parking lots looking a whole lot better, fixing up the landscaping to make sure taking care of some safety issues. So it netted out zero, again, but it just took it from facilities maintenance in one function to the other. We have looked at fuel savings. This year we took $28,000 out of fuel savings to lease buses from the Fort Worth T to make sure we have enough vehicles for service. So that was an innovative thing that Raymond and them did to make sure that we have that vehicles available for service in Highland Village. And we've gotten, again, that was $28,000 that we will budget this year to lease the vehicles from the Fort Worth T. One thing that we have, and we talked during the program services meeting about some of the costs of implementing the comprehensive operational analysis in the bus systems, right? So in Highland Village, Louisville, and Denton, some of the improvements in our bus service. What we're seeing this year is actually a significant savings in purchase transportation, which is our contract now directly with Herzog instead of going through DART, to the tune of about $1 million under what we expected it to be under the joint procurement with Dallas Area Rapid Transit and T. We also have about $700,000 in this year's savings on fuel. We're paying $1.44 now. We budgeted $3.25, and this revision assumes it's $1.50 a gallon for the rest of the year, and that's the red dye diesel, different from the highway diesel that's with the buses. So what we've done is we've captured about $1.7 million in savings. It's still in the rail category. We just put it as a contingency, and those funds are then used, one of which is another transfer we did to help pay for the fuel from bus, which was $670,000. We captured that in another contingency, so we can fence these funds off. And those, again, I see fuel as a one-time expenditure because only thing we know about fuel prices is they probably will go back up. And then the ongoing operating expenses, we think those are going to be ongoing and continued savings. Could be, it's going to be dependent on the rail operations agreement that comes forward. And so by capturing those funds, we were actually able to use, we needed to enter into an agreement to have our consultant help us with the Mobility on Demand software to the tune of just less than $25,000 that came out of bus fuel savings. So those are the things that we've got right now. If you have any requests for copies of this or more detail, please, I'll be happy to share that with you. But again, part of my commitment to the board is is that any of these transfers that I would report back to you at the board meeting in lieu of having to bring all the transfers as action items as we go forward. So if you have any questions on those, I'd be happy to take them. Yes, Jim?
Regarding the fuel savings, the reassignment of that savings to other areas, will we have 100% allocation of those savings, or is it just 80%? Is there a reserve that's still a retainage that we're going to keep in that fuel savings?
I don't think we don't have that. Anna, could you?
We don't, what we've done is basically, since we are projecting how much they'll save for the year, we carved that out, and we don't always spend all the fuel savings from the actual operating budget, and when we don't, it falls down to the bottom line.
So we leave some.
We have a fuel reserve already, it's part of our reserve, the 90-day reserve, the capital infrastructure reserve, and we have fuel reserve. It's the finance committee this last year increased a little bit. So it'll fall down to the bottom line if it's not allocated.
Okay. Only concern is the market's volatile. It's likely to go back up, like you said. Will it go up exponentially? Who knows? Nobody has a crystal ball, but it will likely go back up. But it's nice to have a portion of that saved as a buffer, just in case we don't use it, or we don't need all of it.
Well, I think by keeping it as a contingency, that's one way that helps us monitor that very carefully. I would see going into next budget year that you don't go back down to, we don't presume $1.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
Next year, we're going to go, I would suggest to you, it's your budget to adopt, but you go back up to where we were, go through the budget process, keep that number constant, and if there's a savings, and we do the same thing again, sweep it into a contingency, and make and again, this is part of that process of informing y'all what we're doing with these transfers, so you know what we're spending the money on.
Good.
And so it keeps fidelity in that process.
Basically, our fuel hedge is that goes through all the complexities of a typical fuel hedge. So that's how any user is familiar with it.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on that? And if y'all want, again, if there's ever a request to change that process, I think this seems to be working pretty well, and we'll keep informing you of those things. And Charles, if I could go to the community interest item.
Go ahead.
A bit of a sad day at DCTA for one of our former board members. Tom Spencer's wife, Cindy, passed away here very recently. She was the mayor of Shady Shores, the sitting mayor of Shady Shores. And we passed around a sheet that's got the information. Her service is going to be on February 24th from 11 to 1. There's a celebration of her life at Shady Shores Town Hall on that date. So anyone who's interested, we sent around the card. Did y'all all get a chance to sign that? Did it make it around? Oh, here it is. Anyone who did not, I'll send that back around. Or just check it when you leave, because we're about to wrap up. So again, Tom was one of our original board members of DCTA and served until just a few years ago. So again, a sad day in the DCTA family. Charles, that's all I have.
Okay, I think we're down to number 7. Do you want to add one more comment about the retreat?
Oh, yes. Just so everybody remembers, next Thursday was where the retreat at UNT. You've got your parking information, and I look forward to seeing you there. We'll feed you lunch, and we'll be done before dinner. 9 o'clock, yes, ma'am. It's the Gateway Center at UNT. And there's a map attached to the documents with your parking pass.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
I had one more comment on our Sterling audit report. I know a lot of compliments were given to the team. that goes up to Anna, to your leadership, certainly compliment to you, and then that goes up to Jim and to Mr. Emery as well. So to me, it's about leadership as a whole. When you have highly qualified leaders in place, the team operates like a well-oiled machine. So reflecting back to the three of y'all, I certainly would like the board to recognize that as well, and appreciate all that y'all do as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? I think we're down to number 8. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We're going to stay here a while.
Second.
Oh, okay. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. If you don't vote for it, you can stay. Okay, thank you very much.